back, everyone, right before what could be the last draft of the day. You heard it right, G2 Esports is on match point versus Koi. After all the build-up that we had, it might just be another 3-0. And so much of that has to do with Yike. We saw Ender break it down at the Telestrator before that, the way he is fitting fantastically into that roster, and they are really finding new ways to use him, Jamada. And of course, his rise to fame or to the top has been meteoric since the ERL.
Yeah, it's been so fantastic to watch, right? I think for me, a lot of my perspective was specifically from EUM summer last year, and seeing him on that LDLC lineup where he was actually the vocal point in a meta where the junglers weren't necessarily the ones that were getting the carry picks a lot of the time. And it was so exciting to see how LDLC would consistently just put him on a pedestal, give engage tools to other members and set him up on carry picks time and time again, whether it was things like the Belveth, which he pulls out now with G2, or things like the Kha'Zix. He's consistently been the one that they've been able to rely on.
I completely agree. And you know, I knew he was going to go to the LEC. Just watching him in the LFL, it was bound to happen. But there's two specific teams that I could see him go off to. One would be Mad Lions because of how they develop their talents, or the other one would be G2. Now G2 specifically because they are the kind of team that's ebb and flow and have that freedom for their players. Dylan, let's go Vayne. That's the kind of management you need when you have a player like Yike, because he's not the one shining on Malrang and Sejuani. He's the one who locks in the Kha'Zix, is facilitated, and that's what we're seeing right now. It's so incredible to watch a rookie with a veteran team around him just say, you know what, we believe in you, we trust you, and we're going to build around you.
And we were talking in the green room about like, oh, what are the best kind of rookie starts we've seen in the split? I remember Perks, I remember El Yoya, most notably and recently as well, but Yike, he's just getting off to a phenomenal start in his very first best of 5 in the LEC and playoff series, Jamada. When you look at how they make it work with Yike, that's really kind of unseen, right? Because remember, Jankos was in that team before, an absolute consistency legend who, funnily enough, was always molding that he was on Sejuani duty, and now Caps is like,
I was going to say.
It's crazy.
Jankos has to be pulling out his hair watching the series Caps play in the mid lane, right? But I think it's so creative of G2, right, to kind of say, you know what, we don't necessarily even want to change the way that you have to play the game because it's so unique and because you're so good at it. We feel like, you know what, we are a malleable enough team that we will play and change around you. We'll pick things like the Sejuani, we'll go crazy things like the Olaf top, or in this instance to facilitate more of the skirmishing and the double invades. They don't seem to care, and they're so happy to just let him have that pedestal.
And honestly, how underrated is Caps as well? We always talk about him, but we come to expect these things for him, and we don't even bat an eye. Oh, Caps played Sejuani. Yeah, sure, that sounds normal, but he's so good. He can make this flexibility work every single time. Have to give huge credit to the man in the mid lane. Of course, Yike, who's playing through him.
Yeah, it's going so well for G2. Let's see if they can keep it going, or if Koi can give us a reverse sweep. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Final, possibly, game of the day. Koi would need to reverse sweep G2 if they want to claim their spot in the finals next Sunday. And G2 just need one more win to battle it out on Sunday against whoever wins out of Mad, SK, and Koi over the next 3 best-of-5s we have.
The last time we saw full 5 games, 2020. Summer, right?
Between G2 and Rogue?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then last year was all 3-0s.
It was so long ago that I was still a player.
Wasn't that long ago, buddy. You still
I mean, also, were you really a player that year? It was kind of,
I knew Medic would take it. I don't know why I said it. Vedius was trying to console me, and then Medic just comes in with the punch.
You get a lot of, also, you catch a lot of strays.
I think I watch a lot more of your streams than Vedi does, so I know you're not really still a player. You do it off stream most of the time when you play, right? So you're trying to get Challenger again?
Yeah, I'll do that soon. But there's a stat there I can see. Is that the fastest?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because I'd asked for the stat, and you just like randomly pointed at the screen and said there's a stat.
It's a good introduction.
It is a good introduction. The fastest ever best of 5 in Europe was 74 minutes and 31 seconds between G2 and Origin in 2019 spring. The finals after that obviously was the G2 Fnatic finals in Athens.
The banger.
It was
the fastest international final was G2 versus Team LEC. Oh, that got beaten, didn't it?
Oh, maybe
G2, I think when they lost to Damwon,
where there was that 18 minute.
I think that ended up being the fastest international best of 5.
How long is this best of 5 been going on?
I was going to find that out as well. But you brought up the stat before I know. So I will know when I know.
I'm the problem.
Yes,
it's me, hi.
Anyway, Koi on the blue side once again. They're going to get rid of the Maokai and the Draven. Caitlyn, Silas taken away by G2. No real surprises so far.
No, Ashe Elise are the next 2. Is it going to be a run back? Do they ban Ashe here? I think banning Ashe is a mistake, personally. I think they should force G2 to ban it in first picket. Kind of gives them a semi-free ban, but we'll see what they do here. So there we go, Elise ban. A bit different, but I think now G2 can just match, but we'll see what they opt into and they think is the problem.
Will Sejuani be the first pick for Koi? Ash being banned away, there it is, just as you talked about Caedrel.
So yeah, now I think Sejuani first pick is just, this eases your draft up a lot. You're not trading too hard.
You can see the players laughing. They're like, haha, G2, now what will you do?
And now they look in Zach. Surprise.
I mean, we haven't seen the Lillia yet from G2, still could come out. Often very good into tank matchups because of the pace of your wave clear and how well you scale as well. But G2 wouldn't be surprised to see an AD carry locked in here. And just as I mentioned it, the hover's coming through right now for G2. They may very well do a Lillia Jace. Could be an option. Lillia Tristana, something
Lillia
that we've
Varus.
seen from them as well. Lillia Varus.
Yike is 3-0 on his Lillia so far in Winter. Has had a very strong performance. The Anivia hover that we kind of expect from Yike. I will say, Caedrel, we have the numbers.
Okay.
If G2 win this game in 22 minutes and 16 seconds, they tie. Anything less than that, is the quickest best of 5 we've had in Europe.
22 minutes.
Well,
16
knowing us, knowing LEC, knowing that we've dug up these stats,
It's not going to be reverse sweep.
It's going to be this
reverse sweep. And it'll be the longest ever series.
something like that's going to happen.
Last minute, 87-minute banger.
Yeah, 5,000 CS Sivir.
There's the Tristana, though. Gives you that damage portfolio that you were talking about earlier on. Vedius been frequenting Wall Street bets, it seems, as he's trying to work out if he needs to hodl or if he needs to buy.
Ooh, okay.
Sivir, you know what the Koi saying is, right? When in doubt, pull the Azir, Sivir out. You know, just remember, kids, we're scaling, and you ain't stopping us from wave clearing the whole game away.
Into that, G2 might look for an aggressive bot lane.
You know, part of me thought that they were going to go Vayne for a second.
Vayne into Azir, ooh, that would be tough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Kalista
I mean,
also sounds a
Kalista
bit
Ali
tough, but
sound like a Kalista Alistar into the Sivir. That feels pretty good.
yeah, I think they can double ban support though, but
I
it's
mean,
probably
sure.
like going down the list, Alistar, Nautilus, Leona, something along those
So,
lines. Even Varus here on
Last
4
week,
could work.
when we saw G2 go for a Lillia, Tristana, Draven, the whole idea behind the composition was actually very much a kite back and then re-engage, leverage your range to have them come into you, and then you look for your opportunity to re-engage. Very similar style, once again, from G2. A lot of basically kiting ability to disengage, create space between you and your opposition, and basically make it difficult for them to approach. I think Koi need more CC. I'd like to see something like a Gnar, maybe even a melee support, just something that can help them start these fights, because right now, G2 is a difficult team to lock down.
I would also say the flip side of, like, I think Sivir Karma here, kiting back and playing range can work, to be honest. I don't think you need, like,
That's an
committal
alternative,
CC.
true.
Do you really want to engage into double AD carry? I think if Nautilus hooks in, double AD carry, just free hits, you're dead. But if you play range, the AD carries have to commit, and then I think that's when Koi can turn.
Especially if you add another strong frontline tank up towards the top lane. You could go Cassante, you could go Sion, then you have that line at which you cannot cross. Braum as well would work in that sort of idea. You just want to try and kite back. So G2 getting rid of the Renata and the Braum does lead me towards thinking maybe something like an Alistar or Nautilus. Very possible hit for them on...
I swear, if they pick Alistar and they flex in mid somehow, because Alistar mid has been cropping up in
AP ratios are buffed on 13.3 and we're on 13.1B. It could still happen.
Yes.
I remember the good old days of Sheen Alistar top where you could punch someone mid-air as you were knocking them up.
Good catch. Yeah, good catch. You saved me there. So what support do they go for? You said Alistar. I think Alistar would work really well. Nautilus would just be my easy go-to,
sure.
I think, here, because it's Mickey's bread and butter. But Leona's taken away. Good brown band. That's just kind of negating their idea of wanting to go melee support. Rakan could also work.
Yeah.
If you want to just go Kalista Rakan here, but I think, yeah, you might struggle against something like Sivir Naut.
There's the
just
Naut,
pick
though.
up the Nautilus.
Yeah, Nautilus works really well in this composition. It does exactly what you want it to do, and Mickey obviously very practiced on the champion. His most played so far this split. I think he has 6 games on it now. Koi look towards top and support. Now, how do you deal with Kalista, Nautilus in the bottom lane?
It's a good question. Leona ban stings them a bit, actually. Maybe picking Leona here would be not too bad. Picking Karma into Nautilus is a struggle, but I think they've done the same thing. They banned the top laner and the support.
Yeah.
If you could ban Nautilus Leona there and play up against Alistar, at least you have a stronger level 1.
True.
But yeah, they're going to go Gnar. I think Camille here on 5 for BrokenBlade is a no-brainer. They're actually just going to sack the lane if they go Rakan, but...
Heimer gives you good push in the lane and always has quite good damage if the enemy is pushing into you. Like Nautilus wants to engage, you put down a turret, it can be a bit tricky for the Nautilus to escape that sort of situation. And gives you the turrets to put in front of the hook. So
a lot of contemplation right now coming out from Koi, and it will be the Heimerdinger. All right, so they have a little bit more utility with the Gnar when it comes to team fights, and they do also have a bit of follow-up CC alongside the Heimerdinger thanks to his bouncing grenades. I would say that this is a pretty traditional front-to-back teamfight comp from Koi. They do have good mobility with the form of the Sivir engage, potential flank options if Gnar can find a way into the backline. Whereas G2, well, they kind of do G2 things where they have a lot of ability to kite back. I would say that their engage isn't the strongest. They don't have the easiest time being able to start fights, but this was also my concern when we saw a similar comp last week from them. Yet what they were able to do was kind of, they forced Mad Lions into an engage onto them, and they would look for those re-engages, and then they would pick apart their opposition. And the thing about these comps is that you don't really have access onto either backline. Like, G2 can't really threaten the Sivir or the Azir, and the same can be said for G2's backline. The difference is that the Olaf can be the big difference maker in these team fights. How much threat can it pose onto the Sivir? How easily can it disrupt what the Azir wants to do in team fights? And this is where the how do I say it? Like, the place of battle is very important. Being first in the objective, forcing your opposition to walk into you, basically controlling the space and getting your opposition to play into how you want to play the fight is going to be very important.
I think G2 just have a really good mid-game. Skirmish heavy going forwards. Kalista, Nautilus, Olaf engage. And Koi have good scaling. A lot of wave clear. Hold on a little bit. Use Malrang as a bridge. And see what they can do to contest those dragon fights. Think it should be an easy stacking for G2 in the first few. And then I think Koi will start fighting back a bit.
Of course, reminder that Koi find themselves down 2 games right now. We'll see if they can bounce back as we jump into game 3.
We see the Fnatic fans have now gone for the TSM charts. 2 teams that are equally relevant in European League of Legends right now. So, I'm sorry.
Damn. Medic.
I couldn't hold it back.
I thought you were going to go like, well, they've jumped from Fnatic to Koi to this, but no, you just went for a headshot.
Yeah, that wasn't even like catching us straight. That was just straight up.
There we go. Back to the Koi charts. Let's see if Koi can vamos and manage to pressure G2 in this game, get towards that late game team fight composition that will work so well for them. Caps having to take W level 1 there just to jump away, make sure he gets to safety. And we'll see both junglers starting on the top side of the map right now. Caps, let's have a quick look at his runes. Let's see if he's gone Demolish. He has. I think when we saw Larssen take the Demolish Tristana in the mid lane, he didn't get a single Demolish proc off.
Sorry, just a delivery of that made me giggle.
But we'll see if in this game, Caps is able to use that Demolish effectively. Might just be using it in different lanes, of course, as Caps once again jumps away from the Koi bot lane.
All right, be honest. Whose toaster have we voted up onto? Okay, I see the FPS issues.
Yeah, we see the FPS issues. It's on our side as well, so
we are getting that rectified as quickly as possible, obviously.
We can watch the PowerPoint of Koi versus G2 bot lane.
And here on slide 1, you can see the Raptors will be killed by Yike.
It's like in solo queue when you had like an Ivan top and they'd send you the PowerPoint presentation. It's like, hey guys, here's why to watch LEC.
Yeah.
Slide number 1, junglers taking camps. Slide number 2, bot lane pressure.
Caedrel
fix the game.
What is it?
Caedrel fix the game. Caedrel fix the game.
Man.
Caedrel, come on.
I'm going to change the topic because I'm working on it. And I've just fixed it for you. No, I haven't.
Under promise, over deliver, Caedrel is the motto in these sorts of situations. As Caps looks for some damage onto Larssen, trying to get that explosive shot up so he can get his W resets. Couldn't quite land it. Comp having to jump away here. Flash is coming out as well. Malrang, though, on the bottom side of the map as Comp is ticking. No level 2 yet for Trymbi and Comp, but they will get it off this wave. Mikyx now not in the best of shapes, has to flash away.
Wow. So G2
goes
is going back in.
Of course he does. It's Mikyx.
That hook was so strong that it fixed the frames, and we're back in the action.
Nice.
The PowerPoint is over. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And now we're back into Summoner's Rift in Hans and Mikyx getting off to a good early game start of the 2v2. Managed to force out 2 Summoners out of comp there, but Malrang's response came back to bite them a little bit. Yike trying to force Malrang back. No camps down here, though. I think he's scared of Yike going and attacking his bot side, but it looks like they're going to base.
I don't really blame him for Yike being pretty strong and pretty scary, as on Lillia he's gone 3-0 so far in the LEC. He looks for a mid-gank here. Gonna dive Larssen, they're gonna do it as they go in. Cap splashes away, but Malrang's in the right place at the right time. First blood. Yike tanks up a tower.
Oh my god!
Oh, it's a tragedy.
I just put up a graphic saying how good
no.
I need to fix my eyes.
No, no.
Oh, yike. It happens, it happens.
Yikes!
We've all been there. We've all been there. But
yeah.
the problem is, we've been there when we flash on the wall. You know, we're not that far away from the wall. We try anyway. So Caps tanks straight away.
The idea is to get the reset by proccing the bomb and then W back out again. He also has the flash, but Malrang's in a position. And then Yike trying to get close to the get close to the wall to flash over it, but he flashes a little too soon. And you can
Caps and
see
Yike are laughing.
they're both laughing.
Yike just cracking up in the background.
Yeah, we've all done it.
I knew this was going to be a reverse sweep. I told you. I told you something's going to go haywire.
Yep.
But yeah, G2 trying to get that dive off. Larssen sitting very pretty. Malrang, it was a nice flash by Caps, I will say. He predicted Malrang's Q flash to try to stop him and get him an extra tower shot, but yeah, damage was enough to get the kill.
Can I ask you a question, Caedrel? How often do you see Swifties on a Sejuani?
Legend. That's what I say. First base gets a kill by Swifties. Now, let's see how many... Should we count how many camps...
Either we're killing them or I'm running it. One of the two guys.
I need us to count how many camps Malrang does ever since he's come back from base now, because he's on 0. So we'll see what he does. He needs to clear his top side, so surely he gets to at least 4.
Well, actually, I think he's going straight to enemy Raptors.
Crab's up. We'll pick that one up.
Okay,
Does that count as a camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give it to him. Okay, 1.
Well, we don't have to sit here and do it all day, you know, but
No,
I'm
no,
saying,
well,
like,
I'll
I'm
keep track of
intrigued
it,
to
it's
see, because I
fine.
feel like he's going to run mid now, and he's not going to go to his top side. As I say that, Yike's hovering around as well.
But do they really have kill threat with Azir? I don't think there's
Need to
much
get
of a
6,
gank
I
mid.
think,
Yeah, Larsen's only halfway to 6.
I think the only thing that you would do in mid would be to try and relieve the pressure of a potential dive or a potential kill, but I think Larsen's pretty safe. He's a little low on mana, but aside from that, top lane, on the other hand, could be a little more volatile.
BrokenBlade ghosting lands the undertow on Szygenda, who tried to jump away. Has to
He
flash.
flashes. Damn, okay.
Malrang's on his way up as well, and Yike keeps him at bay.
I actually like the idea of the Swifties because he's against Lillia. Now, it's going to suck later on, but he can at least, like, outpace her a tiny bit in the early game. That's the only logic I have. But I feel like plated steel caps against Olaf, Tristana, Kalista is a must. But if you're asking my opinion, it's bad, but I can see why it's good.
He's going to sell them and buy plated steel.
I mean, but
Definitely
also, if him having Swifties negates Yike's pressure in the early game or lets him get a couple of ganks off, it's worth to buy them
He
and
also
sell
has
them
Conqueror, which is also another interesting one.
BrokenBlade. Oh, Malrang's here, though. Yike looking for it. Szygenda trying to build up their Mega Gnar. Can't quite get it. No flash on the Gnar. Remember, BrokenBlade flashing forward, but he can't get in range. The undertow, he doesn't have the mana for it.
It's a Conqueror! Look at the Conqueror!
Look at it go! Look at him! No need to farm camps when you can farm foes as he gets Yike underneath the tower. And remember, no Yike, no flash. The swirl seed wide. And the Swifty boys are here to party!
Malrang and Szygenda win out on the top side 2v2. Koi are now winning both solo lanes off the back of Malrang's swiftness boots Conqueror Sejuani, just turning the tides. Creative genius.
It's just so damn fast, Caedrel.
He really is. I mean, he kept up with the Olaf. The tier 2 boost Lillia, whatever it was that Yike had, couldn't get away with the passive stack. And
This
I
is
mean,
real League of Legends right here.
this is none of that farming
as well.
None of that farming
He
stuff.
waits for the right moment before he engages. The target is BrokenBlade. Tries to apply the passive as quickly as he can. The shield will proc, but it's not enough to keep him alive as he runs out of mana. Can't get close to Szygenda. And Szygenda able to get a little bit of health back. Means that they can then lock up Yike. And Yike tries to be clever here, using the fog of war to catch Szygenda out, but he doesn't fall prey to the trap. And he just bides his time.
Good auto spacing from Malrang as well, weaving in the auto attacks. So early game lead for Koi. One of the first times in this series, I believe, that they're now in a very good position. I think G2's comp is very early mid-game centric, and Koi's is very late-game centric, and they're already ahead.
Let's not forget game 1, Koi were able to get a pretty sizable advantage too. They did go 3-0 in the early kills. And then there was that unfortunate bot incident with the 2v2 kills. Yeah, so
bot incident.
Let's see how things progress. For the time being, Hansama has hit level 6. He does have a small lead, but I imagine that'll be neutralized as this wave will be wiped away by the Sivir. The dragon is up, and it looks like that with the pressure that they have in bot and mid, Yike will be able to secure the first objective for G2. Herald is up, and it wouldn't surprise me once the Drake gets secured that Malrang immediately goes to that objective as well.
As expected, G2 get first Drake. I think they'll get second as well. I mean, they have so much bot push, so much skirmish potential. Caps can get mid push whenever he wants as well, or at least join his team, but he's doing the same thing as last game. Caps, I've noticed this whole series. When his jungler's on one side, he will go to the other to get information. See if they're on Herald, see if they're on this crab, see if they're giving blue. He'll never lean to help the jungler. So, I mean, it is a positive in itself. I mean, the only negative is you can get caught really easily and die.
Yeah.
But as long as you're on the limits, it does give you a bit more information.
I mean, he is a little safe on the Tristana as well, right?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Malrang, Glacial Prism, Yike! Caught out in his jungle. Like Bambi taken down by the ball there.
This has got to feel good for Malrang after last game. The fact that his jungle is being torn apart. Hansama with the ult.
Yeah, Trymbi needs to flash that, gets the stun onto Hansama as well. Mikyx could still look for the chase, but the turret goes down, and so no hook can connect. Cap stepping forward here, just wants the plate, he wants the plate, but the plate isn't what you can take. Larssen unwilling to give it up. Cap's able to jump away though, does still have the flash here.
Calculated.
And in the end, he gets the plate and gets out. Didn't have to burn a summoner.
Hashtag worth.
Mikyx flashing forward. Trymbi though lands the stun. Hansama now cleansing away, but this isn't the best of places to be. Mikyx ignited, ticking down, will be able to survive, but the engage coming for naught there for G2.
These laners just love walking up, even in disadvantageous positions, without flash, whatever it may be. They want to get the wave in, they want to get those plates, and they will fight you for it. And if you don't fight them back, they'll get away with it. Koi are fighting back, getting summoners out of G2's bot lane there, almost all of them blown.
I was a little surprised to see Hansama cleanse, flash in, and then immediately run away, because he realizes, I've put myself in the middle of all of these Heimerdinger turrets and the enemy's minion wave. Perhaps this was not the smartest investment of my flash.
But at least he did it.
But he did do it, yes.
And he got out.
Did it work? No, but did he do it? Yes.
That was a thing that he did, yep. Comp does, of course, still have the flash, and Koi find themselves with a 2k gold lead in this early game. You talked about some of the scaling advantage that they do have. We'll see if they're able to hold on to it. Next Dragon in about 3 minutes' time. The Herald is, of course, available for Malrang, and his ultimate is up soon. Hex Slash there from Mikyx. Caps goes in.
Looking for the damage.
Oh, he tried to ult flash him backwards into Mikyx.
Yeah, that didn't work.
I mean, you can do it. You can pre-buffer ult and then flash behind them. Yeah, you can do it
if you flash behind the person. Yeah. If you flash in front of them, they just get knocked away.
The flashes this game from G2 mid jungle have been suspect.
Questionable, I agree. Malrang.
Oh, Malrang.
So now this didn't work out too well for Comp and Trymbi, but maybe if we add Malrang into the mix.
Oh, it's good, man.
They can look for it.
Just let him cook.
Just let him cook.
They also have...
No cleanse on hand.
The Rift comes.
Surprise!
There it is! He cooked up a spicy meal for Hansama. And Hans will be feeling that one in the morning as Malrang now can put the Rift Tower down. If he wants, they could just look for the first plate and then Rift Tower. They could even not use the Rift Tower at all.
That's just such a massive gain for the Koi bot lane as well, because so many minions were lost, along with the plate secured and the Herald drop. Yike now trying to cross map, but I don't think he can really get much here.
Yeah, Szygenda should be able to live, right? Jump forward, floating lullaby a possibility. Rift Tower charged in. We look down towards the bottom lane as Caps kills Trymbi somehow. Okay, so Trymbi was walking up to try and get vision, and Caps is just waiting there for him.
Yeah, I think he just landed on top of him. But again, Caps moves out of lane, and Larssen gets plates. And in the games where G2 can make plays happen, it's fine, because your teams and your side lanes are snowballing. But this Azir is getting a CS lead, it's got 2 plates, and as much as it's been a bit of a funny game from G2, these mistakes are costing them. I think this game is running out of its control. G2 needs to start forcing plays in the next minute or two around this next Dragon, around this next Herald, and make sure when Nash time comes, at least the game is even. That's not a good state, but at least it's a state they can play in.
That's really good from Szygenda. Yike was looking for the 900 damage smite there, but couldn't get it because Szygenda comes across, so the blue buff reset twice, and Yike wastes, about 20, 30 seconds of his time.
Huge credit again for Malrang for this early game. I think that last game he did what he could, was able to steal away that blue buff and then look for a Hex flash gank in the top lane. But, I'm gonna have a look back at this play.
He's on a ward here, Caps.
Oh,
but Trymbi doesn't know that he's on a ward. He tried to poke him.
I see, okay. Yeah.
And it's the jump again, I presume. And he jumps over the wall.
Easy kill for Caps there.
Nice deduction, Caedrel.
Yeah.
Not much that he could do really about that one.
Off skip jump.
But yeah, Koi off to a fantastic lead, and as you said, their scaling is very good. Means that it's much easier to be able to get first onto the objectives and force G2 to walk into them, which is exactly the place that Koi want to be in. Dragon spawning in about 30 seconds time. Comp is resetting right now, but Malrang is out on the map, and Larssen is here to catch this mid wave as well.
He is indeed. Bit of a weird lane state here. Hans Smith, Caps coming back towards bot. CFG2 try to mix it up. Dragon spawning in 15, so I don't think they'll care too much. Can move towards his objective, start a fight. Mikyx, Hex Flash coming up. Wonder if he used it there. Koi, as much as they're ahead in this early stage, G2's champs are pretty strong right now. Is it worth fighting over this Dragon?
Yeah, you don't have to, right? You can just
TP top, so
keep getting your gold leads, place a ward in here, but as you say, Szygenda TPing top just means they're looking for more plates. BrokenBlade worked his way all the way down from the top lane.
Does have Q and Flash.
Nah, no chance, right? He's gonna go for it.
Doesn't look like it. Doesn't want to gamble it against Hansama's Kalista.
Yeah, BrokenBlade's there. Szygenda's top. Pushing the lanes and take bases. I think Koi is happy to give that Dragon up, and G2's way of scaling through this game is Dragons. It's gonna have to be this Infernal Soul. They're gonna have to fight the third, fight the fourth, and If they can't get those two, it's only going to get worse from that point onwards. A lot of gold over to Szygenda. My God, BrokenBlade is so far behind now.
I bet if you look at Szygenda, sitting on 1,000 gold right now, has that 1.7k lead as well. Already finished
just
Trinity
TP back into lane, right? So
3 plates is a sizable chunk of cash.
Yeah, 4k gold lead for Koi.
In a really strong position. And I think I might be too early in saying this, but I'm not sure this is going to be the fastest best of 5 we've ever had in Europe.
No, Koi fighting back.
And honestly, we think back to some of the plays that have happened. There was the dive in mid, where Koi was able to secure 2 kills. There was the attempted gank in top lane, with which was countered once again by Malrang. And then there was the gank from Malrang in the bot lane. And this is why we wanted to put so much focus on Malrang. This game, mid, top, bot, he has had impact in every single lane, and he is a massive contributor to Koi's early game success. This, when Rogue last year were at their best, is when Malrang was at his best in the early game, and it feels like that he is very focused, and he does not want to go down without a fight.
Definitely. Fantastic game so far. One thing I do want to just highlight quickly is BrokenBlade just used Ghost and ult on the top side against Szygenda.
Okay.
Szygenda wrote XD in ult chat. So he's taunting him a bit. I think Szygenda's feeling it.
And they had their banter before the game started as well. Mikyx flashes away hit.
Okay.
Ooh. Yep, okay.
I think G2 should counter with one of their own now. Well, they didn't. They didn't.
Maybe they've got the XDD prepared.
Maybe they've got all chat off, I'm not sure, but
well,
no
honestly,
response.
Larssen with his own emote kind of gave himself a bit of a self-burn. Definitely a high investment in ults, and the Herald is alive, so G2 do have a window where they could look to fight here, but no Hans Sama.
No ult, so yeah, like I said, on mid-jungle. Comp's on the way.
See it on Malrang.
Szygenda's on the way, Hans on the way. Both teams want to stall a little bit.
Yeah, Hans is quite far away though. He's only just getting into the G2 jungle. Mikyx looking for the hook there as Caps jumps forward, but Malrang immediately dives onto him. And Caps is ticking away. Trymbi takes him. Mikyx next up as he'll get stunned in the bush. It's a double for Trymbi. And even without their ultimates, Koi still come out on top.
I love the way Koi's draft works against G2s, because G2 has to go forwards, Tristana has to go forwards, Nautilus, Olaf, all these champs, and they just put a Heimer turret down, they have a Gnar in your face, and the Azir and Sivir are free hitting. So their dive is kind of like half-assed. They can't really get on top of you, but they need to go in.
G2 find themselves at a pretty significant deficit.
7,000 gold is pretty significant,
and Koi have bounced back incredibly well. The biggest thing for me was the fact that Hans Sama wasn't even in that fight. I think some of the strengths of the composition is their ability to create space and then re-engage. Tristana W can go in and then effectively out. Hans Sama's ultimate is so crucial after the initial engage. You can see Mikyx goes in, Mikyx tries to follow, Yike and BrokenBlade can't really because of the Azir soldiers and Trymbi's ultimate that's just sitting in the middle of the river. And with no Hans Sama there to pull Mikyx to safety, it becomes a very easy fight for Koi to win. And as you rightly said, it felt like that Koi could just sit back, relax, allow G2 to kind of play the fight for them, and they just did the damage needed to win.
Grab themselves a beverage. 1 minute 30 seconds on this next dragon. I think Koi are going to look to easily contest that and pick that up. But I feel like if I'm G2 here, I think they just take the dragon fight. Even though they're this far down, I think it's just a Hail Mary dragon fight, see what happens, maybe try to steal it, get an even trading kills, that would be ideal. But yeah, giving this up basically takes away almost all of your win conditions, barring a Baron steal.
With a minute on it, we'll see what G2 can do to set up around it. Currently, only first items. Mythic across the board for them. Caps has a pickaxe alongside that. Comp sitting on a Kraken and a core field, so he's going to be very strong if he gets some time just to get those ricochets off in this fight. Koi with the river control. BrokenBlade up towards the top lane. No TP on him means he's going to have to back now and then run down towards this bottom side, where Szygenda's teleport is up in, I say 25-30 seconds, so he doesn't actually have to recall. He can continue to apply pressure on the other side of the map, whereas BrokenBlade needs to get down to join his team.
30 seconds. Like I said, here comes BrokenBlade. Kindle Gem and play the steel Caps. G2 trying to get a little bit of mid-push here. Caps has sacrificed bot to try to help them out on this wave, but I don't know if they'll get it in. Watch how fast Comp can just blow this. Just WQ to the wave. The wave's gone, and now G2 can't really walk up.
You can see Mikyx was looking for something, you know, depth charge onto Comp maybe, but you need to get rid of his spell shields first. No,
Larssen could be in trouble if Caps takes this 1v1.
Larssen's going to walk towards him. Caps goes in. Caps is diving forward in that 1v1 down towards the bottom side. He ults him away with the Buster Shot, or Larssen just shuffled away as well. Looks like he used the Emperor's Divide to do it. G2 now using that opportunity, knowing the Azir ultimate is down, to start up this dragon.
Flip it.
They're going to try. Hook goes in from Mikyx. Comp going in with the ult. Now Larssen still not in this fight, remember, but Noise BrokenBlade. They've locked down Caps. They CC chain him. The Looting Lullaby being used as well. Yike trying to get the damage down on the back line, but Szygenda with a great Gnar across the side manages to isolate G2, and they'll be wiped away in the river. The turning tides in favor of Koi.
Only 2 members full for Koi, the jungle support, but the solo lanes, the carries and comp managed to pull it off. BrokenBlade's alive. He just solo killed Malrang off screen there. Massive sleep from Yike, but no follow-up.
Exactly that. Caedrel, Koi dance around the fight beautifully. BrokenBlade tried to enter from the north, but Szygenda single-handedly held him off. Malrang solo killed Caps. Like, the fight was just so easy for Koi to play, and you can see how, regardless of the situation, it's so easy for Koi to just pick apart G2 all across the board. It helps that they have such a massive gold advantage, but the way in which they're executing these fights, look at how it starts off initially. BrokenBlade can't access the fight. Mikyx goes in, and then Caps just gets isolated.
Yeah, Caps gets isolated, gets one popped by Malrang. Szygenda, like you said, zoning away BrokenBlade. But look at Yike here. Double sleep onto the bot lane of Koi. Gets a nice Q, but no one can follow up. Hans is kiting for his life, and BrokenBlade is solo killing Malrang. So he manages to get Trymbi, but that'll be it. Losing your carry at the start of the fight is basically lights out when you're this far behind. Caps not really able to offer much. I feel like every Tristana I've seen has just struggled so much.
It's a situation where Koi's comp all effectively wants to do the same thing, and you can see how comp was always playing back with Trymbi, leveraging Malrang as that front line. Mikyx now forced to flash, trying to escape.
Rachel Britton's going to lock him down, though. Caps might use the buster shot on Larssen just to distract and distance that Azir from his teammate.
Oh, hang on, Szygenda. No, he's not going to be in any danger. But as I was saying, Koi, their composition is like very straightforward in terms of how it executes and how it wants to play. And it helps that Malrang is having an incredible game right now. And G2, it feels like that there's a lot of isolated situations with which they can't control all of Koi at once. And Koi with this gold lead, they're going to force a 20-minute Baron. There's nothing that G2 can do. Easy, secure. And it looks like Koi is definitely going to give
behind. They're looking for the flank here on Yike and Hunsummer.
Larssen's going to shuffle.
Larssen has the shuffle. Doesn't even need it to get onto Hunsummer, though. Hunsummer will be felled by Malrang and Koi and Comp. Yike trying to get away, but he's shuffled back, though. Looting Lullaby only onto Larssen. Pops a stopwatch to make sure that he can't be taken out by anyone, but Caps is nowhere near the fray, nor is BrokenBlade, so just a stopwatch to delay for a moment there.
It's not crazy, it's clean play from Koi. They execute incredibly well, they punish the mispositions of G2, they secured the bot tier 2 tower, they have another wave in mid, and they might not make it as flashy as G2, but they make it look easy. 20 minutes in, tier 2 towers already falling with the Baron as well. Koi looking convincing, and a performance that we were very much expecting after their very dominant best-of-3 play in the group stages.
It's an interesting way of bouncing back as well. They just said, we'll go back blue side, we'll run it back, we'll just play scaling, give Larssen a mage, not really change anything up too much, but I do remember Sivir was banned by G2 on red side, I think, in game 2, so maybe they thought that leaving it open would be okay with a Kalista match this game, so that's something that G2 might have learned, and they'll probably choose blue side in the next game. But the Sivir just gives so much space to Koi with the Azir, because they can just sit there and wave clear the whole game. Even if they're behind, if they're ahead, wave clear duty for these carries and get towards 2 or 3 items.
I mean, for me, it's just Malrang's impact is just what I think is the most valuable resource that Koi have at their disposal. What he's able to do with this Sejuani, we saw it in game 1, we're seeing it again in game 3. I think the biggest difference is, again, that bot lane incident that happened in game 1. I wonder how different the game could have been if they entered the mid game in a more even state. As Koi now with the Baron looking to siege onto the tier 3 towers of G2's base.
G2 just TPing bot there. Caps, I think with the Demolish and with the E, he wants to just get as much gold as possible, get the objective bounty, get IE on base now, and then just try to take the next fight.
But you're going to lose so much of your base. Double inhibs going down. Red Bull Baron power play continuing to extend for Koi. Caps continues to push in, though, maybe looking for a tier 3. And Demolish going to do a little bit of work, but who can get back? Well, Baron empowered recall for Szygenda means he'll be back there pretty quick. Caps will take a second tower off this push. The gold, though, still almost 9,000 in favor of Koi. Dragon up in a minute as well. They can just set their sights on that. G2 really won't be able to fight it. They are an item behind in basically every role now.
Yeah. Cap should have the eye in base, but yeah, it doesn't really merit the lead of Koi overall. Cap's the only one that's barely close to his opposition. Szygenda's just chasing him, trying to slow down the base because they're trying to push out bot here. You'll see Szygenda chase Caps to base. Comp will push in bot. Larssen will push in mid, and then they'll go for that 3rd inhibitor.
And it's what Koi have always been so good at. And it's what won them games against Vitality. It's what's won them games in the past. It's what's won them a championship last year in the LEC. And as much as you say, Vedi, perhaps not as spicy as what G2 can bring us when they get in this position, they are impossible to fell, impossible to put behind.
Comes the dive.
Looking for it. Mikyx hooks a minion. Caps has to flash away. Buster shot coming out as well. Yiko looking for the floating lullaby. Won't be able to get it. Malrang doing so much work in this fight. Can't be able to walk back to his minion line, but G2 now starting to open up. BrokenBlade finds one. Comp has to flash. No flash for BrokenBlade. Mikyx has one neither, but Malrang might get hooked here. Mikyx still on the chase. Super minions in the base of G2, but they are hungry for blood, as Hansama will eventually back away to clear out those minions.
Oh, the dragon is up. No jungler, but something that BrokenBlade is going to make a beeline towards. Hansama on his way there. Koi, they overforced the dive. A situation that they had pushing minions top and mid. They just had to bide their time, use their range, chip away at the tower. They had a few seconds left on the Baron as well, but now with Malrang alive, G2, they're going to be forced to disengage. They need their jungler here. And remember, they can afford to lose this, but if they had been able to pick it up, it would have been a nice gold influx to try and close the gap and the deficit that they now find themselves in.
So let's look at the gold. 6,000 deficit now for G2. I think it was around 11,000 5 minutes ago. Koi giving up over some gold to G2, and they lost the bot tier 1, the tier 2, the tier 3, I think, as well, or something along those lines with objective bounties. Now they lost this fight and gave over shutdowns. It looked good though. Szygenda gets the stun, caps his 1 HP, then Malrang, watch him here. Q's past BrokenBlade, lands it across the corner, but it's Comp tanking the tower, which forces him back, and then Hansama's free hitting because they were focusing down onto the Lillia. Overstepped by Koi, they juggled the tower for so long that it was doing too much damage. Big shutdowns over to BrokenBlade.
Yeah, it was a situation where Koi likely felt that they could just steamroll the fight, and fortunately they could. Now the bright side for Koi is that it's not a bad situation to be in, right? You're allowed to make mistakes when you have this type of a gold advantage, so the game is still very firmly in their control, and you see how Comp held on to clearing the minion waves so that he could wait for top and mid to catch up. Now they're entering the base, and now they're threatening the tier 3 tower once again.
Tower nowhere near as healthy this time, nor his caps down to half already from the Larssen poke with the soldiers. Mikyx looking for something. BrokenBlade trying to get onto Comp, but he's just shredded where he stands. Comp continues to kite backwards. He's looking for Larssen, but he can't get it. And now Koi can open up. Face call. Pulls back one. Mikyx goes back in. Larssen with the stopwatch. Yike's gonna fall. Mikyx 2. And Caps and Hansama can only stand and watch. The last defense is not enough. A penta for Comp to close it out and to start Koi's comeback in this series.
Massive step up from the carry of Koi. Second pentakill, I believe. He had one at Malmo. He's got one here as well. And it was a little bit hairy on the first dive, but they managed to pull it off on the second.
Much more patient play. They kited back beautifully, and Koi played the final team fight to perfection, allowing their AD carry to secure himself another pentakill. And I think that I forget exactly how many he has. He's either at 5 or he's now at 6. And if he is at 6, he's actually tied with Rekkles for the most ever pentakills in LEC.
We'll make sure to find that out.
I remember that Rekkles was at 6 and then Comp was second. I just forget if he was second at 4 or if he was second at 5. But yeah,
find out.
He's in his short timeline within the LEC, he's got a lot of pentakills. Comp, very good player, and it's great to see him on form as well, because we were concerned that we wouldn't really get to see the bot lane kind of come alive after the first 2 games. But now we're really seeing them have that impact. But again, I continue to be impressed by Malrang's early game impact. This man is on a tear in the early game, and Koi are looking impressive.
They really are. If they get that early game where they can stabilize a little bit more, if they don't make those couple of mistakes that they made in game 1, they've shown that they can fight G2 in mid late. And if they have this composition where they can play front to back, Koi are kings of that right now. G2 perhaps need to bring out something a little bit different in the next draft, or need to just find a way to shore up their early game a little bit.
Definitely do. And yeah, Koi, I think they're just going to stick to it. Just stick to the plan, stick to scaling. Maybe we're going to see a little bit more
remember that
G2
focus can now go back to blue, so the question is, how does Koi adapt, given they've had all this time on the blue side to have that pressure?
I feel like Elise is a must-ban, Ashe feels like a must-ban, Draven feels like a must-ban. And I think they're just kind of locked there and just see what happens. They're going to have to give over Sejuani, most likely, or trade junglers in some way.
Yeah, well, we will see what they do after the break, but right now we're going to hand it over to Sjokz, who has a message for our viewers.
We wanted to take a break from today's broadcast to send our thoughts and condolences to those impacted by today's new series of earthquakes in Turkey, Syria, and our surrounding areas. In light of the new series of earthquakes, today's Turkish language broadcast of the LEC was paused during the show and will be postponed until further notice. We know many of you that have joined us today will, like us, want to support efforts in both countries. We at Riot Games are working alongside local and global charities through our social impact fund, Karma. Local to Turkey, Riot is supporting ABAP with an initial $100,000 donation and donation matching donations with the subject line Riot Games up to an additional $150,000. You can support ABAP at abap.org. We additionally are continuing our partnership with the International Medical Corps to support survivors in Turkey and Syria, and you can donate to the IMC at riot.com/donate. We will be back with Game 4 after the break.